Congratulations on purchasing the Minelab Sovereign XS metal detector. Before switching on your Sovereign XS, you should watch this video, thoroughly read the instruction manual, and ensure the battery pack is fully charged and installed. Also, before conducting any of these tests, you should remove any jewellery from your hands and wrists. The Sovereign XS uses unique BBS technology. Although different from other detectors, it is simple to use and you will master its operation quickly. BBS enables the Sovereign XS to automatically transmit at 17 individual frequencies all at the same time. Each frequency is sensitive to certain objects at different depths. The more frequencies a detector has, the more targets it will find and the deeper it will penetrate. Firstly, we'll take a brief look at all the controls. On the front panel of the control box there are 5 knobs and 1 switch. The volume control is used to turn the Sovereign XS on and off, and to set the volume of target signals. The threshold control adjusts the level of background hum. This tone should be only just audible. The sensitivity control increases the sensitivity and detection depth of the Sovereign XS. The all-metal discriminate switch controls the mode of operation. When in the all-metal position, the Sovereign XS will detect all metals, both ferrous and non-ferrous. When switched into the discriminate mode, the Sovereign XS will ignore ferrous metals such as iron and steel, while still detect valuable non-ferrous metals such as gold, silver and bronze. Finally, both the discriminate control, labelled disc, and notch control are used in combination to discriminate against certain metal objects. We'll now cover the basic setup of the Sovereign XS and practice adjusting the controls. To do this, we recommend that you obtain the following items. Then switch on and turn the volume control to its maximum position. Turn the sensitivity control and click it into the auto position. This will set the sensitivity to the optimal level under most conditions. When detecting the beach on wet sand, concentrated black sand, or in the water, the sensitivity should be set to the auto position. At all other times, it should be set to the maximum manual position, which is the most counterclockwise position without clicking into auto. If you hear erratic interference signals, simply lower the sensitivity by turning it in a clockwise direction. Pass a coin over the coil at a constant height, varying the sensitivity setting. Take notice of how this affects the target signal. Next, turn the threshold control clockwise until the threshold tone can be just heard. It is important that the threshold tone is only just audible. This will enable you to hear deep or small target signals. Now switch to the all-metal mode of operation. As the name suggests, in this mode you will detect all metals. Passing the following objects over the search coil will produce the same signal tone. Now switch to the discriminate mode. Turn both the disc and notch controls to their most counterclockwise positions. The Sovereign XS will now react differently to various metal objects. Ferrous objects will be ignored. Non-ferrous objects will produce different toned signals depending upon their conductivity. When passing the iron nail over the coil, you'll notice that the threshold tone disappears. As the threshold tone returns, you'll notice that its pitch is lower than the normal threshold. This indicates the object was ferrous. When in the discriminate mode, the disc and notch controls can be used in combination to ignore various objects. As you turn the disc control more clockwise, objects of greater conductivity are ignored. We'll turn the disc control to ignore the pull tab. All objects having a similar or lower conductivity than the pull tab will now be ignored, while those of higher conductivity are still accepted. On the other hand, the notch control is used to ignore objects of a certain conductivity. Make sure the disc control is returned counterclockwise. If we turn the notch control to ignore the pull tab, you'll see that only the pull tab and objects of similar conductivity are ignored, whilst all the other non-ferrous objects are accepted. Select a coin and pass it over the coil. You'll notice that the signal tone has a high pitch. Now pass the foil over the coil. Notice it produces a slightly lower tone to the coin. Practice with different objects and take note of their tone. With time, you'll be able to use this tone to accurately identify the objects you find before recovering them. Turn the disc control clockwise, passing the foil over the coil until the signal disappears. Take note of the threshold. It will disappear and then return at a higher pitch. Now pass the iron nail over the coil. The threshold once again disappears and then returns at a much lower pitch. Pass a coin over the coil. It should produce a signal. You have now set the sovereign excess to ignore ferrous objects, plus objects of conductivity similar to foil and lower. Take a few moments to practice passing the different objects over the coil and changing the position of the disc control. Turn the disc control to the most counterclockwise position. Pass the foil over the coil. Then pass the pull tab over the coil. Both will produce a signal. Now turn the notch control clockwise. Continue to pass the pull tab over the coil until the signal disappears. Take note of the threshold as it disappears and then returns again at a higher pitch. Now pass the foil over the coil. It will produce a signal, although it has a lower level of conductivity. By using the notch control, you can select a certain type of object to be ignored, while still detecting other objects, even if they are of a lower conductivity. Leaving the notch control in its current position, turn the disc control clockwise until the signal for foil disappears. Now pass a variety of objects over the coil. Objects of a higher conductivity than foil will produce a signal, except for those with a similar conductivity to the pull tab. Vary the notch and disc controls and take note of the tone where different objects are ignored. The disc control must always be set lower than the notch control, otherwise the notch control will have no effect. It's important when pinpointing to understand that the sovereign excess has an area of detection along the centre 2 inches of the coil from heel to toe. This coil type provides you with more detection coverage per sweep. The first method of pinpointing is the most common. Sweep the coil over the general area, taking note of where the strongest signal is found. You should be able to draw an imaginary line on the ground where the strongest signal was obtained. Then turn 90 degrees and repeat the process. The imaginary line drawn this time will intersect the first one directly over the target. Sweep back and forth over the general area while listening for the strongest signal. Now slowly bring the coil backwards towards you as you sweep. When the signal drops, the target will be just in front of the coil. Similar to method 2, the coil is moved forwards away from you until the signal drops off. The target will then be just behind the coil. This method is used by shallow water hunters to position the scoop behind the coil for easy target recovery. The techniques in this video will help ensure that you quickly master the operation of the sovereign excess. We recommend that you rewind this video now and watch it again, practicing the techniques presented, and then watch it again after hunting for the first time. Thank you for choosing Minelab. We appreciate your support. For further information on any Minelab product, you can contact your local Minelab dealer or call Minelab on one of the following numbers.